So, good evening once again. My name is Mohammed Mateen, and I work here in CHAI Directorate, which is based in Hyderabad as a program manager. And this evening, I will be moderating this meeting. Once again, good evening to all of you. And as we begin with the meeting, let us invoke God's presence amidst us. And I request Manish to play the Chai anthem.
Jesus, Lord, lover of life, giver of wholeness and giver of mirth, on towards life, be all our strife, into its fullness, Lord, bring us to birth. Weak and infirm is our human clay, and all our frame lies here tired and broke. If only, Lord, as you pass by the way, we could reach out and touch the hem of your cloak. Give us compassion, Lord, give us your mind, give us your vision and give us your ears, give us your hands to touch all humankind, and from all faces to wipe away tears. Mender of all that ails body or soul, and of all human pain known or concealed, you alone can save us, making us whole. Say but a word, Lord, and we shall be healed. Healer divine, make us healers with you, menders of all that is crooked and curled, healing each other and loving anew. Be in our eyes, lips, hands, healing the world. Give us compassion, Lord, give us your mind, give us your vision and give us your ears, give us your hands to touch all humankind, and from all faces to wipe away tears. Give us compassion, Lord, give us your mind, give us your vision and give us your ears, give us your hands to touch all humankind, and from all faces to wipe away tears.
I request our Director General, Reverend Dr. Matthew Abraham, to give the welcome address. Many of you may know Father Matthew very well, but for some of us, some of you who may not uh, are not very well acquainted with him, let me just show you a brief of his profile. Uh, Father Matthew is a Redemptorist priest, and he is a medical doctor with MBBS from Kottayam College, and he has done in his MD in community medicine from CMC Vellore. As a student itself, he was active in the JY movement, and most important point to be noted that is he discovered the vocation to religious life and priesthood through the JY movement. Prior to being the Director General of Catholic Health Association of India, Father Matthew was the Health Secretary of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of India from 2018 to 2015. He has been the chair for the Technical Resource Group of NACO, that is National AIDS Control Organization, which is part of Government of India. And as a TRG member, he was mainly involved in designing the care and treatment component of the National AIDS Control Program. He was also the chair of Engage Disability and Blink Asia, which are a disability inclusive networks. And currently, he is also the president of Christian Coalition for Health. Father Matthew, as many of you may know, is passionate about compassionate, affordable and quality healthcare for all, particularly for those who are at the margins of the society. I now request Father Matthew to formally welcome all the delegates into this meeting. Over to you, Father Matthew.
Thank you, Mateen. So, dear friends, I'm delighted to see nearly more than 100 doctors now registered for this meeting today. I hope that they will keep joining as we proceed. So, on behalf of the Catholic Health Association of India, I welcome you all for this important meeting. Since many of you attending this meeting are passionately close to God, let me start with a spiritual note. There are many people who believe and claim that they love God. However, some of them confuse us because their actions go against their claim that they love God. For example, there are some people in the name of God who kill and torture others. Some others bring division and disharmony in the name of God. So what is the real test of the claim that someone loves God? Probably the only authentic test is love of neighbor. That is why in the Judeo-Christian tradition and many other world religions and cultures, the love of God and love of neighbor goes hand in hand. Over several centuries, the church expressed her love of God and love of neighbor in an organized and corporate way through healthcare, education, social work, and pastoral care. Many unsung heroes, both men and women, contributed to these concrete expressions of love of neighbor in a very unassuming way, making a difference, a significant difference in the life of people, especially those at the margins of the society. Today, two great organizations of the church, the Jesus Youth Movement and CHAI, are trying to join hands for another concrete expression of love of neighbor as an organized and collective effort, reaching the unreached through telehealth. There are several definitions of healthcare. However, one of the definitions of healthcare that really moved my heart was this. Healthcare is a concrete expression of love and concern for the sick and the suffering. This definition encompasses the essence of healthcare. When this essence is taken out of healthcare, it becomes professional exploitation of the sick and suffering, taking advantage of the most vulnerable moments of a human being. Today, unfortunately, unscrupulous commercialization of healthcare is leading us towards that scenario. That is the context in which we have come here together today, dear friends. For what? To express our love of neighbor in a very concrete way, reaching the unreached through telehealth. It is my privilege to welcome His Excellency, Most Reverend Alex Vadakuntala, the Ecclesiastical Advisor of the Jesus Youth Movement and the Vice Chair of the Kerala Catholic Bishops' Council, that is KCBC Health Commission. While planning this meeting, we felt that Bishop Alex is the right person to address this gathering, given his healthcare background and the Jesus Youth connections. Let me reveal a secret here. Bishop Alex was also instrumental in identifying me and bringing me into CBCI as the Health Secretary as his successor in 2009. I will always fondly remember him as someone who officially initiated me into Catholic healthcare leadership. A warm welcome to you, dear Excellency. Mr. John Sandosh, a Catholic technocrat and an entrepreneur, is also a person with a compassionate heart. He will be one of the main speakers today. Mr. Sandosh has established a few for-profit companies and runs them successfully. However, he also has a not-for-profit company called Billion Lives, through which he and his partners are trying to reach out to 1 billion people. It is possible because India is more than 1 billion people. Their tech solutions are used for some of the central and state government social welfare schemes in a big way. So he collaborates with the central government and several state governments. With the help of Santosh and his team, today, Chai is able to leverage technology for reaching those at the margins. I offer him a warm welcome. I also welcome Mr. Mohammed Mateen, one of our senior program managers. He is an MSW and has nearly 3 decades of experience in the social work field. He is responsible for our community health project. This telehealth initiative is one of the components of our community health project. He is the moderator for today's meeting, and also he will give you a brief description of our community health project as we proceed. I welcome the rest of the speakers from Chai as well as from the Jesus Youth Movement. Sister Philo, Sister Reshma, and Sister Jiva are all sisters who chose to leave behind their families and their birthplace for the sake of love of God and love of neighbor. They are unsung heroes who will be able to help you to reach out to those at the margins of the society if you dedicate part of your time and talent for this project. Today, we will listen to their inspiring stories. Dr. Julio is the animator of the Jesus Youth Doctor Central team. Dr. Julio is a radiologist and a good friend, and we were batchmates in Kottayam Medical College. We know each other very well. Dr. Reju is a pediatrician and the coordinator of the Jesus Youth Doctors Central team. I welcome both of them. Mr. Charles Bastian is the coordinator of the Jesus Youth National team. He is a management professional who have decided to volunteer his time and talent for the movement for a term of 3 years. It's a voluntary commitment. He has been very enthusiastic and supportive of this initiative right from the beginning. Welcome, dear Charles. We have a few significant people who are attending this meeting, not as speakers, but as observers. They are here because of their keen interest in this project. I would like to highlight some of their names and extend a warm welcome to them. Some of them are members of the Chai leadership, the national board members, regional presidents, directors, sister nurses from the health centers, and so on. As many of you are aware, I'm a Redemptorist priest. Today is an important day for us Redemptorists. Today is the feast of our founder, Saint Alphonsus Liguori. He was a man who was passionate about those at the margins of the society. I'm sure that he will be delighted and praying for us today because we are here to explore the possibility of reaching those at the margins. We also have a few Redemptorist fathers attending this meeting. For example, Father Gino Hendricus and Father Vivian Moniz. Father Gino was very much connected with the Jesus Youth Movement several years ago. He is well known among the senior Jesus Youth leaders as someone who passionately accompanied the movement, especially the professional ministry during its initial stages. Father Gino was instrumental in helping me to discern my vocation to religious life and to the Redemptorists. He is a man ahead of his time. Several years ago, he had envisioned these kind of initiatives happening within the movement, and it is happening today. At the age of 80s, he is here to cherish these moments. A warm welcome to you, dear Father Gino. Father Vivian is a liturgist, and he taught me as a seminarian. It was in Father Vivian's classes that I developed a deeper understanding of prayer and sacraments, even though I had a liking and passion for prayer that I picked up from the JY movement. We have Mr. Srivatsan from Intent Health. He is an IIT IIM graduate with about 4 decades of experience in healthcare. Along with Mr. John Santosh, he too is a great value addition for Chai in terms of technology and logistics. Some of my batchmates from Kottayam Medical College, some other doctors from St. John's Medical College are also attending this meeting. A warm welcome to you all, dear friends. I'm grateful to you all for sparing time today for this meeting. We have today with us Sister Dr. Beena. She is a practicing gynecologist and the president of the Sister Doctors Forum of India. This is a forum where we have about 1,000 sister doctors, mostly working in remote areas of the country. Sister Beena is very much in collaboration with CHAI, and she was there right from the beginning, right from the planning stages on envisioning of this telehealth project. So a welcome to you, Sister Dr. Beena. We have Mr. George K. Paul, who is a designer with a postgraduate degree from IIT Mumbai. He did his post-graduation in designing there. George is our design consultant, and you would have seen the quality of the collaterals, the memes, and all those things that we circulate. A warm welcome to you, George. We also have several of our CHAI team members, Manish and all, helping us to coordinate, organize this meeting. Before I conclude, a few words about the Catholic Health Association of India. CHAI is a national network of about 3,500 healthcare institutions, providing mostly primary and secondary care. About 2,500 of them are health and wellness centers managed by sister nurses, providing primary care and community health, mostly in the remote parts of the country. CHAI believes in and promotes compassionate, affordable, and quality healthcare for all, especially those at the margins of the society. This meeting is to explore the possibility of supporting these sisters in their ministry through our telehealth platform. All that we need is a little time and your professional skills, my dear doctors. CHAI can connect you to these sisters from the comfort of your homes. We know that you have several limitations of your families, your parents, constraints. So we are trying to use technology to bring you to the margins of the society through this telehealth project. Will you spare a couple of hours in a week for those sisters in the periphery? Once again, I extend a warm welcome to all of you, dear friends, especially to all the doctors who have come forward to be part of this great and mutually beneficial initiative. Thank you. Over to you, Mateen.
Thank you, Father. Thank you so much for the warm welcome and also for sharing about the background and purpose for this meeting. Now, as we move forward, we are very privileged to have with us Your Excellency Alex Vadakuntala. All of you, I am sure, will be knowing about Your Excellency Alex Vadakuntala, but just as a formal introduction, I would like to just read out his profile. As also Father Matthew mentioned, Your Excellency Alex Vadakuntala is the ecclesiastical advisor to Jesus Youth Movement and also the vice chairman of Kerala Catholic Bishops Conference High Commission, Health Commission, I'm sorry. So Bishop Dr. Alex Vadakuntala was appointed as Bishop on 1st February 2014, and he had earlier served as the Vicar General of Archdiocese of Verapolli. He has served as the Health Secretary of the Catholic Bishops Conference of India, which was just prior to Father Matthew. And I personally remember one of his major contributions, because at that time I was a very young man who had very recently started working with CHAI. Father Alex was very much instrumental in preparing and developing the Catholic Church policy on HIV/AIDS care and support. And he had also served as the project director of Constant Lens, which is the National Academy of Health Sciences, Ranchi, which is supposed to be a medical college and hospital project for North India. I now request Your Excellency Alex Vadakuntala to kindly give your message all the delegates in this meeting.
Thank you, Martin. I met you years back as an young, energetic doctor, and still you keep up that youthfulness. I'm really happy about it. Father Matthew Abraham, who welcomed everyone, each one of us, and the Director General of Catholic Health Association of India, others who have joined from the Chai team, Mr. John Santosh, Sister Jiva, Sister Philomena, Sister Reshma, and those members who are presenting from the Jesus Youth, Dr. Reju, Dr. Julio, Mr. Charles Bastin, and the president of Sister Doctors Forum of India, Sister Beena, Father Gino, and others. On the feast day, they found time also to attend this important session for the nation. I appreciate it's a commitment that you have, and all other members of the Jesus Youth and Chai family. I'm extremely happy to be here with you this evening, because often I used to come to Chai office when I was working in Delhi. Now, at least through this digital medium, we are connected again. I made a small presentation. What should be the response in this wake of COVID-19, when it is really affecting the country, the people around? It's a pandemic that affects every sphere of life. Initially, it was just an epidemic. In January 2020, World Health Organization declared it as a pandemic. So COVID-19, we know by now, we know that it makes everyone vulnerable. It was a mere health issue in the beginning, but now we know, especially after the second wave, we know it has affected the socio-economic, religious, cultural, educational, industrial concerns. So it's an international, an issue of international magnitude. As on today, from the COVID dashboard, we know that there are 19 crore 85 lakhs 61,249 confirmed cases. That's official, that is available. And as on today, 42 lakhs 33,121 died. They lost their lives due to COVID-19. And almost 90,073 are critical with regard to the COVID-19. In India alone, we lost 4,24,384. As I say these numbers, we know that these are not just mere numbers. Some of them are our own dear ones. I'm staying here in the Bishop's house in Kannur. A priest who was 84, we lost him on the 22nd of July. I was with him, we were together for our every meal, every prayer, always together, and we feel the great loss that we have from the family. When somebody dear to us is lost, means it's not a number, it affects our hearts, our so on. So we still find a helplessness in our people in the wake of this pandemic. So the basic question is, what is the answer, or where is the answer? Jesus, the divine healer, as Father Matthew rightly put it, is the model par excellence for those in healthcare, especially for a doctor. Anyone who approaches Jesus receives total healing. They experience a new life, new light, new strength in their life. As it is explained in the Gospel of John, chapter 10:10, Jesus' mission was to give life and life in its fullness. He was a good Samaritan for everyone. And Gospel of life is the heart of Jesus' message. It is the core of his redemptive mission. The New Testament, especially the Gospels, record 46 incidents of healing intervention, and 33 of them are miracles that clearly express Jesus' healing power and compassion. And that is to show why he came to serve and to demonstrate how deeply he valued life and to have it in abundance. Jesus, when we analyze or go through these gospel texts, we find him as a true healthcare professional. Was he a gynecologist or a pediatrician? Was he an ENT specialist or psychiatrist? Was he practicing telemedicine? When we go through the gospel narratives, it seems to appear that his approach, his attitude, his actions often perfectly fitted with these modern categories of specialization. Jesus was an ideal doctor. He entered fully into the world of human suffering with genuine love and compassion. His actions spoke volumes of his concern for the sick, the weak, the orphans of the society. In the Acts of the Apostles 10:38, we read, he went about doing good. That summarizes his whole mission here on earth. Jesus was was a pediatrician. Go through this passage in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 18, and where he says, "Let the children come to me." He has an affection. He has a preferential, compassionate approach towards the children. In Mark chapter 5, we see how he cures Jairus' daughter. Little girl, I say to you, arise. That's what he said. And then he says, give her something to eat. It implies that health means also nutrition. He was aware of the issues like starvation, malnutrition, and poverty of the people. He was like an ENT specialist. Look at the miracle that he performed as it is described in Mark chapter 7. He was deeply moved while healing a deaf and dumb person. That's how it's a beautiful narration on that miracle. And extremely skillful steps he takes as he heals this man. He took the man aside so that he may not be, as we know, a deaf and dumb person gets embarrassed because he can't understand what's happening around. So, that he understands his life and his situation. He was like a perfect gynecologist who knew the difficulties of women. In Mark 5, 25, 32, 34, he said, women suffering from a flow of blood for 12 long years. Even in the big crowd, when she touches at the mantle of his cloth, he immediately realizes his deep sensitivity to the sick and suffering. And once he knew that this woman had touched his cloak, he turns and said, daughter. He addresses her as a family member, the quality of a true healthcare personnel. Her physical healing now allows her to be accepted back into the community. So the reincorporation into the community is integral in Jesus' healing mission. This is the authentic healing as we know about it. He was like a pediatrician, a psychiatrist. For example, the discussion, the dialogue with that Jesus has with that Canaanite woman, very understanding, but at the same time that he knew he has to help this helpless mother. So he was moved by her faith, and he could not refuse her request. So the approach to the mother and to the child is something very unique and very much worth for us to reflect. He goes beyond the boundaries of caste and creed, a very important thing for any doctor. He suffered and he shares the sufferings of humanity. That's what we understand from the life of Jesus. A doctor needs God for every step he or she takes, every word she or he speaks, even every thought she or he thinks. And God needs the doctor in his healing work. It's Pope Francis who said in his book, The Name of God is Mercy. I am ever more convinced of it. This is the Kairos, the most opportune moment. Our era is a Kairos of mercy. So this is the moment most opportune to show true compassion, mercy with everyone. Mercy is in reality the core of the gospel message. It is the name of God himself. That's what Pope Francis, the name of God is mercy. So it is in this context we need to understand the link between Chai and Jesus Youth. As Father Matthew in his welcome address mentioned, Chai is the largest healthcare network other than the government of India of a single group. As you know, it was started by 16 religious sisters way back in 1943 under the leadership of Servant of God, Sister Mary Glory. And the motto they adopted was, United we stand. So as Chai and Jesus Youth now unite and work together, it goes very much to the motto which they had adopted at the beginning, at the time of its foundation. In 1975, WHO had that Alma Ata declaration, health for all by 2000 AD. At that time, Chai changed its motto saying that health for many more by many more. So again, this tie-up between Chai and the doctors of Jesus Youth and other doctors is very much in tune with the revised motto of Chai, health for many more by many more. At the 50th annual general body meeting in 1993, Chai, it was Catholic Hospital Association. They changed it into Catholic Health Association of India, which is very significant, and it has a real meaning for us that conveys. There is this DUCAT, that is the catechism or the faith that we need to profess through our daily lives. Pope Francis, he says, in all the gospel, there is no saying that had greater influence on me and changed my life deeply than this. Whatsoever you do, you do for the least of my brother, you did it for me. And Pope Francis, when he released or launched this DUCAT, he says, I wish I had 1 million young Christians walking, talking the social doctrine of the church. And he said, become active yourselves. I think this is also an invitation of Pope Francis to all the youth of Jesus Youth, in a special way, those who are in the healthcare field, mainly the doctors. So it's a welcome challenge to the Jesus Youth doctors and other doctors who are here in our network, particularly those who are from St. John's, I was told you have joined. So to be at the side of a committed sister nurse who is working in a remote village of our country, but with struggling all alone, except the strength and the presence that she receives from the divine healer. So it's a welcome challenge to the Jesus Youth Doctors and each one of us to be at the side of the sister nurse and be with her so that the healing presence of God is extended to many more by many more. I conclude with this quote by from Seneca, who said, "If I do not burn, if you do not burn, how can the shadows become light?" If I repeat, if I do not burn, if you do not burn, how can the shadows become light? COVID has brought so much of shadows, darkness, struggles in the lives of many. We need to join hands and we need to burn with a new zeal so that these shadows become light. Thank you and all the best. May God bless each one of us.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you for being with us this evening. Thank you for gracing this meeting, and also thank you for your beautiful message and explaining how the mandates of both these organizations, CHAI and JY, are the same and how we can continue to work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martin.
Moving forward, we have an experience sharing, a very brief experience sharing. And if you recollect, Father Matthew, in his welcome address, had talked about the community health program, which CHAI is implementing across many states of the country. Now, here with us this evening, we have with us Sister Reshma Matthew, who is working in the Sultanpur district of Uttar Pradesh from her institute, which is known as Karunashray Samajik Seva Kendra. Sister Reshma is the director of KSSS, which is Karunashray Samajik Seva Kendra, since 2018. And she has extensive experience in working with communities which are far away located, which are very remote. And she comes with an educational background of MBA in rural management and belongs to the congregation of Ursulines of Mary Immaculate. Prior to KSS, Sister Reshma was the director of Now Chetna, wherein she worked with differently able persons for over 13 years. So Sister Reshma with us in this meeting, but we anticipated that there might be issues with network connectivity. And so what we had done is we have recorded her presentation, video recorded her presentation, and that will be played for us to listen to her. And if there are any questions, any clarifications, we can note down those in the chat box, and then we will try to answer those during the open discussion, which is scheduled at the later part of this meeting. So I now request Manish to play the video of Sister Reshma.
Good evening to all. I'm Sister Reshma Matthew, a member of the Congregation of Ursulines of Mary Immaculate. At present, I work as Director of KSSK, Karunashray Samajik Seva Kendra at Sultanpur, Uttar Pradesh. My target group belongs to scheduled caste who live below poverty line. Availability of medical services in our target area shows majority of the people access government facilities as the private clinics are very few and costly. People look for more of quality services in medical field. They are not satisfied with the services available. Availability of medical services to access, the target group is unable to pay user fee at private facilities. The picture shows how poor they are. Government facilities are far away located and there is lack of transportation facilities. The photo depicts geographical features that become hurdles to reach our target area. Illiteracy is another major cause. inability to explain the symptoms of different sicknesses, and lack of knowledge about healthcare system prevails. Source of income. During the pandemic, they were not able to get daily wages. Only source of getting income is making rope out of grass, which they collect from forest area. They get very low price for their product. So our presence is necessary to keep them healthy, otherwise they become prey to death. Healthcare through chai. We reach to periphery with the available health services. We do sugar test and refer them to hospital if needed. We also do follow-up process. During pandemic, chai helped us with inhalers, which enabled the people to get rid of seasonal sicknesses like cough and cold. Chai also provided face masks, sanitizers, shield, etc. These helped kept majority of our peripheries away from COVID-19. BP test and follow-up process we do. Other community health services like immunization, antenatal care, awareness program, government linkages are part of our program. Telehealth services. Pilot project on telehealth was successful in our area because my volunteers, those who were not even using ordinary mobiles, became smart enough to use the smartphones and telehealth application. It was difficult and hectic to teach them to use the smartphone, but with much difficulty, they have purchased the smartphone. It is the success of our work during the pandemic. When we speak about telehealth application, it was simple, accessible, and easy. Language used was English. It is preferable to have local languages. Network problems and time. Permission to use other locations to fill up the application since some of our villages remain still without network. Prescribed time for consultation with the doctor will help us to avoid waiting and booking problems. Traveling to villages during COVID-like pandemic became costly affair, and we lack source of finance to cope up with this issue. It is remaining as a big challenge to us. Looking forward to tackle this issue. So in nutshell, we can say with confidence, we reach to the periphery and we know the smell of the sheep, those who are interested to us, where we have to work a lot. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manish. And thanks to Sister Reshma, who took all the trouble and gave her precious time to share that message with us. So as I said, Sister is also there with us in the meeting. And if we have any questions, we can type those out and then she will try to answer those. Moving forward, I mean, all of us would want to know more in detail about the technology part of this telehealth component. I mean, what exactly will comprise when we say telehealth? So we have with us John Santosh, who will be taking us through the technological aspects and also the legal aspects of providing telehealth services to the people. Before I hand over to John Santosh, I would briefly like to introduce him to all of you. So here you can see him on the screen. He is the director of this organization, which is a software company called Billion Lives. And John Santosh, as Father Matthew also mentioned, is a technocrat with good understanding of business operations as well as technology from his vast work experience with various organizations such as ABB, Citicorp, and Oracle. He is currently on the board of a network called GIEOM, a banking technology company that has its products used across 90 banks globally. Is also associated with IIM Bangalore for a India-Japan studies center and is doing research work in the area of business evaluation and transformation index. He is also been associated with Electronic Resource Planning and Research Center and Digital Innovation Lab at IIM Bangalore since 2008. And lastly, he is the founder of this startup company, which is called Billion Lives. Billion Lives is a software product company that specializes in streamlining programs and schemes for nonprofits, government agencies, and also other social entities. And a special mention is he has been the brain behind designing the technology part of this telehealth application. Over to you, John.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mateen. Good evening, everyone. It's a great opportunity for me to come and talk to all the doctors and the experienced people in this call and people who have been out there in the margins of society trying to help the people who are in need. So I'll straight away go into the solutioning today. This whole initiative started with this objective: quality medical consultation, combining the local presence of sister nurses and the expertise of doctor over a telemedicine. We've been hearing this from all the speakers so far. I'll straight away go into the specific details of how we are trying to do this. Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts details. Today, the problem is when a patient comes to one of our primary health centers, which is run by a sister nurse, and if there is a need for a medical attention by a doctor, there's no channel available right now. So that's where the telemedicine comes in. And the first step of the journey is the patient visits the primary health center, talks to a nurse, and the nurse uses this app called the CHAMP app. So we will collect the information about the patient, the identity, and some basic health information about the patient that a sister nurse can easily do. After that, sister nurse initiates the telemedicine call with the doctor who is available at that point in time. Now, we request the doctors who participate in this to give us a time that they will be available during the week. It could be 1 hour on Monday, another particular hour on Tuesday, on the weekends, as per their availability. Whatever comes in will be configured in the system so that when the sister connects, sister will know who is available at that point in time. Now, at the same time, doctor logs in. When the doctor is given a particular time, it's expected the doctor is available in one of the digital gadgets. Could be the phone, it could be the laptop, available at that point in time to receive calls. Just in case, due to some other emergencies, if the doctor is not there, we have built in a provision to intimate the doctor using a WhatsApp message. This is purely based on the learnings we had in the last few months in the pilot, that there could be such situations. Doctor may not be logged in at that point. Then when the message comes, doctor can always go into the login and then continue the call. The doctor can view every detail that nurse has added into the system so that there's complete transparency on who the patient is and what the basic information is collected. From there on, it goes into the investigation, taking documents, seeing the test results, all that, and ends up with prescribing a drug or suggesting a test. And the prescription made by the doctor or the investigation request made by the doctor is visible to the sister nurse on the platform. But most importantly, it goes as an SMS to the patient. Now, why SMS? It is because many of the patients in the area that we work may not have a smartphone, and they may not be able to access the prescription over a smart device. But they may have a normal phone which can take an SMS message. So we have configured an SMS which they can use to buy medicine from a medical store by showing that link, which the one who has got the smartphone can open that. So we had looked at every possibility that can come in the way for us in working in the areas where there are connectivity or availability of the smartphone. Now let's move on to the specifics about the legal part of it. From a telemedicine regulation point of view, the Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, has come up in the March 2020, the 25th of March, a regulation that is, or is a guideline, which says these are the things that the do's and don'ts of telemedicine. So while we are designing this program, we made sure that every aspect of this is covered in the platform. So let's look at the first one. That is, can a medical practitioner who's registered in one particular state provide telemedicine to any patient in any other part of the country? Yes, that has been allowed now under this guideline, which came in the month of March 2020. Moving on, the next question which comes into the mind when we go into this is, how about giving consultancy through a nurse? Is that allowed? So if you look at the health worker to RMP, there is a definition under the section 1.4.2.4, which says a health worker can be the intermediary for the patient and the doctor, so that the patient can meet a health worker, and there's a clear definition for the health worker given there. A nurse, allied health professional, mid-level health provider, ANM, can be defined as a health worker, and a patient can meet the health worker, and the health worker can collect basic information, can conduct the examination, and also can explain the advice given by the RMP. So that is, we are fully covered on the model that we are suggesting here. Moving on. So the next part is identification. The guideline says both parties, the patient should be identifiable to the doctor and the doctor should be identifiable to the patient. So we looked at this in the system and made sure that this is covered. So when we go into the system, you will see this, that both parties are fully aware who they are talking to, and that way there is no issues about we talking to a wrong person and a legal issue coming around that. Now, the part of it is a consent. Now, this is an important part of it because the guideline says while you're doing a telemedicine, a consent has to be taken. And an explicit patient consent is the best suggestion. So what we have done is, with the help of CHAI's legal counsel, we have created a consent form which is translated to various local languages, and it is a printed form which is made available with the sister nurse. So when a patient comes in, they can read that consent in their local language, or the sister nurse can read it for them, and they can just give a sign that, and we on this technology platform will take a picture of that and upload. So while the doctor starts the consultation, there is a clear view of the identity of the patient. At the same time, the consent form also can be viewed. So these are conditions we are aligned with the legal structure of this particular guideline. Now, the other aspect of it is the transmission of the prescription. So once the doctor is completing the prescription on this platform, it says it can be transmitted through a photo scan digital copy of the prescription into the directly to the patient. The law is not saying that it cannot be viewed by the nurse, but it says that ideally it should be handed over to the patient. So we have made sure that even though the sister nurse can view the prescription, she won't be able to print it out, but the same thing will go to the patient over a SMS. So this is just to be sure that we are staying within the legal framework. Under this regulation, there's a clear definition of steps that should be followed for telemedicine. And we made sure that all these are covered while designing this platform. So we are actually using a platform that is in use for quite some time called MedLife, and put the other areas of our specific CHAI network and its peculiarities on top of this to make sure that it works for our network. Now, let's get into the system now and see how this works. Now, this is the platform which we call as the telemedicine or the CHAMPS platform. To start with, every sister nurse participating in this program will have a login here. So this login will help. Everyone will have a user ID password, so you are sure that who is initiating this whole consult. So first step is to log in. After that, if the patient is a one who's already in the system, they can go and just select the patient from the list. So this is all the sister nurse is doing all this. So patient is present in the primary health center with the sister nurse. And if that patient is a new patient, then we go to the next part of it. We collect basic information about the patient. So the name, the age, all that which is needed, the mobile number, the gender, the date of birth. So this, we have looked at everything that is for the sister nurse to take a picture of the identity proof. Instead of just saying the name and the age or any other identifier, we are going and taking one ID so that we are 100% sure the person is out there. And the next thing is, it also allows you to, of the consult happening. This is for us to make sure that it is happening at the place where we know it has to happen. Now, moving on, then the system will show the doctor available at that point in time. Because we as I said in the early start of this whole session, we will take the time slots that doctors give and make it available in a calendar at the back end of the system. So at that point in time, suppose it's Monday at 10 o'clock, if these are the two doctors available, the system will show the nurse, sister nurse, who should be connected at this point in time. So she can connect and then create a consultation room. In case the doctor is not available at that point, then the system will send a WhatsApp message, will go, you can say the share this link through a WhatsApp message. This is to make sure that in case the doctor who was committed to be available at that point in time is not there, there are other ways to notify the doctor that the patient is available now to start the consult. Now, moving on from there, once the consult starts, the patient comes in one window and the doctor is on the other window. And the sister nurse has the option now to upload every other aspect of it. So if it is a burn, you can show the hand, which is the reason for the consult here. And starting with all the reports. If the patient has come with some medical reports already, you can upload it. The sister nurse can upload it. If there are any prescriptions of the past, that can also be uploaded. So some information is already available with the doctor before the consult starts, if it is provided by the patient. Now we'll move from this side to the doctor side. When the doctor logs in, this is where the doctor get to see a basic information. When you click on it, you will get to see the ID which has been uploaded. You'll also see the consent form which has been uploaded in the system. So it is making sure that the transparency which is needed as per the regulation is met. Now from there on, we get into the next aspect of it, where the patient is seen in the larger window and the doctor is seen in the small window. The consultation starts, and all that the sister nurse is uploaded now. All these icons are accessible to the doctor to see each information that has been uploaded. So let's look at the first one, which is the aspects related to the basic health parameters. So this information is showing up here because that has been keyed in by the sister while in presence of the patient. Then if there are some reports which are given by the patient, that can also be uploaded in the system here. And if there are some notes to be made, there's a provision given to make a note over here for future reference. So you can put a record and then save it so that it becomes part of this document. So in a future reference, you will always go into all the notes. When you click on it, it shows all the notes made by the doctor to make the consult a little more easier. Now, from there, if there are multiple test reports, it's not only one, you can have as many test reports that the sister nurse uploads are made available on this window. If there are an X-ray or MRI available, there's a separate tab for that. We are not showing that in this session, but that is also a possibility that you can get onto that. Then we get to the point of prescription. So this is where you end up writing the prescription. So we have taken the only medicine that we know, that is the Dolo, and we put all the numbers that we could think of and just giving you the functionality over here, the dosages, the units, all that. But this is a platform which has been used by doctors in different parts of the country. So it has taken care of most of the requirements a doctor will need in prescribing a medicine in the platform. So once it is done, it comes in and says, are you going to prescribe one more medicine? So you can go in and add as many medicines as you need in this whole flow. So if you want one more, it comes here. So at this point, we have completed the prescription. And then what happens is this prescription goes now as a SMS to the patient. So the patient gets an SMS that this is the consultation, so and so date, this is the thing, and this link, this comes with a HTML link here. So clicking on the link, if it's a smartphone, it'll open. This is in the hands of the patient. The same prescription sister nurse also would have seen on the screen. Now, when you click on it, if they go to a pharmacy and they want to pass this link to the pharmacist, assuming that they have it on they have a smartphone, they will be able to click and open and see a proper prescription here. So we have put the CHAI logo, but we'll put the doctor's details, everything here. So as a prescription format, which is allowed as per the telemedicine guideline, we followed the same format here, so that it goes in the electronic format in the hands of the patient. Now coming back to the point where we were, so once the consult is over, the prescription is in the hands of the patient, we'll come back to the point where we left and we'll continue. From here, we wanted to show some other functionalities that may be of use while you are giving a consult. This is the note taking. Any point, whether you are on a taking the information during the call, you can take any note over there. But if you want to draw something and show it to the sister nurse, that this is what you need to do at this particular point, there's a whiteboard provision given, so that you can draw anything and everything that the doctor is doing here is visible on real time to the sister nurse at the other end. Then you have an option that is called share. I'll take a pause here. This is a situation that arises that doctor may have a good video or a document to be shown to the sister nurse to educate her on particular intervention that need to be done. And if that document or the video is available in doctor's laptop, and you want to show it to the sister nurse, because it could be an educational requirement, you can share your desktop using from this thing, so that from the share itself, you can share and show this is what you should be doing. This could be a third-party video, could be a YouTube, could be another document that you have created and kept in your desktop, could be anything. You're pretty much sharing your desktop to the sister nurse. So, sorry. From here, we get on to the point saying that if we have to take another functionalities while taking the picture of the hand, if you want to take while you're seeing that, if there's a burn case, you can say that turn around to the other side, and you want to save this. You can save this picture and then mark on this picture saying that this picture needs to be, you need to go into a snapshot and say, I want to mark this area where the burn has happened. So you can mark it and say that this is it. So I'm just touching on some of the functionalities. It may be used in different scenarios that you know better. So that can be saved and it all becomes part of this whole package. So it becomes, for the future consult, it is available. Moving on, so this is so far on the telemedicine platform. The intent is, over the period of time, we want to introduce some of the gadgets like this, so that in the current setup, which is available now, the nurse is manually entering the data of the basic health parameters into the mobile phone. So the moment you introduce a gadget like this, which is Bluetooth enabled, you may find it much easier and sure that the data that comes in is 100% direct from the machine, not being entered by, so any of the manual errors can be removed completely. So this is the direction we would like to take over time when we get some of these gadgets and try it in one of the centers initially. And if it is successful and if it is useful for the doctors, this could be another intervention that we can bring in. Now, other important aspect is reference. So if the doctor feels that this case cannot be handled in a primary health center and need to be referred to a different medical setup, we feel in the system, there is an option called referrals. When the doctor clicks on the referral, if that referral hospital is already onboarded onto this platform and it's one of the CHAI hospitals and is in the neighborhood, the doctor can ask the sister nurse, which one would you like to refer? And they can just click on a referral button, and the entire information the doctor has collected so far, the consult, will move digitally to that referral hospital. But in case there is no referral hospital in the area, there's no CHAI hospital in the area, or the hospital that you want to refer is not part of this platform, that could be a scenario like that. In that case, we are given another provision to ask the sister nurse, do you know who could be the doctor in the nearest hospital who can be referred to? And if the sister nurse has the email ID of that doctor, and if already there's a relationship between the primary health center and that hospital, sister nurse can just give the email ID of that doctor, and our system will capture it and generate an email directly to that doctor by packaging the entire data collected as a zip file. So it goes as a package. And also a link of that will be given to the patient. So when the patient goes to that hospital, there is always there's a reference saying that I got referred by so and so doctor, and these are the first level data that the doctor has collected, and I'm here. So we have looked at the last part of it, of ensuring that the referral also is addressed here. So moving on, other part of the whole equation here is availability of medicine. Now, while we try to get the consult over there in the areas that we just heard about, if there is no pharmacy over there, if there is no way of getting medicine, how do you address that problem? So CHAI has got a platform called Medigate, which is a common procurement platform. In this common procurement platform, if the doctors who are participating in this program can come up with a formulary and say that these are the typical type of medicine that you need to provide a healthcare in one of these primary health centers. If we know that, if you're able to devise that over a period of time, and we can keep on improving that medicine set, if that is possible, this platform will make sure that that set of medicine reaches that primary health center every month, or on the frequency that is needed. And in places where there is no courier service, India Post is already been used by CHAI to get it to any place in the country. So this, once we couple this with the teleconsult, there is a good way that we are making sure not only the consult, we are addressing the need of getting the medicine also locally. Now, other part of the important part is, while the doctors are consulting, there will be a need to making sure that the other side of the connect, which is the sister nurse, are also aware of various medical terms, surgical terms, and the management of common problems. So it may be necessary at some point to give some orientation courses on a need basis. Today, they're all practicing nurses, so it may not be required, but in case it is needed, it could be a good way to put it in the CHAI Academy, which is a learning platform which CHAI already has and been using. Now, the legal aspects of things can also be a part of the orientation to get everybody aware of what are the do's and don'ts of doing something over a telemedicine. And some idea about how do you use a telemedicine thing. So this can be done as part of a digital or a virtual training program. Now, what's the long-term vision? We are starting in the middle here. We are empowering the sister nurse to make sure that she's able to connect to the doctor to get the consult to the patient. That is our starting point. But the idea is to go into the left and the right. The left is the word CHAM, because I've been using the word CHAM in the starting of the session. It stands for Community Health Associate Mentoring and Promotion. So that's what that term starts. So we started the pilot with that. We went around and looked at various volunteers out there in and around the primary health centers and onboarded them as CHAMs. They are individuals. Well, could be an A&M, could be a ASHA worker, could be an Anganwadi worker, could be somebody who's got time to go and take the telemedicine to the patient. They are empowered to take a mobile device and go and meet the patient at their doorsteps. Now, in this process, today we started, all our conversation was starting from sister nurse as the starting point. At some point, it will get extended to this side that this CHAM will go and meet a patient at their locality, and then the call can initiate from here, and it can hop and go up to here. Now, in this way, this person, the CHAM, will be able to make a small living or a livelihood by taking the telemedicine to a patient who need not walk all the distance to the primary health center. That's part of the long-term vision, or it could, I would say, it's a midterm, very short-term or midterm vision. On the other side, we can extend it to the other end because CHAI has got the secondary care and tertiary care. So over a period of time, it becomes a space frame layout, starting from the point where the patient is to a tertiary care, which could be at a St. John's at some point. So this is where the telemedicine platform can take us, and the medicine flowing into this through the Medigate, we will be a real uh, platform touching many, many lives. Now, but to get this going, the need is to get all those who are willing and open to get to this platform need some basic information about your registration. CHAI has put together a Google form to collect the detail, but what we are looking for is your registration details, the doctor name, all that, and most importantly, when are you available to give some time for this program? If that is there, the system will configure that into the platform, and your name will come at that point only. Otherwise, you will not be getting a call at any other point in time. Now, other thing is this platform only for the doctors? I would say no. So our sisters out there are touching many more problems out there. It could be a veterinary surgeon, could be an Ayurvedic surgeon, Ayurvedic doctor, or it could even be a financial analyst, or could be a legal professional. You never know. So this platform, even though it is now starting as a telemedicine platform, if you look at it, it is a consultation platform. From here, it can address the needs of many, many professionals reaching out to the peripherals through this network over the time. Thank you very much for giving me a listening. Over to you, Mate.
Thank you. Thank you, John, for that detailed explanation about the telehealth platform. We will now move forward, and we have another sharing by one of our sisters who is part of the community health program, Sister Jiva Palatti. She is the community health coordinator at Holy Spirit Care and Support Center, which is in uh, Vijayanagaram district of Andhra Pradesh. Sister Jiva completed GNM in 2000 and is from the Congregation of Sisters of Holy Spirit. For about 12 years of service in community health, Sister Jiva has worked in different geographies, including for 4 years in tribal hills of Andhra Pradesh, that is basically in Vijayanagaram district. Sister Jiva is present in the meeting. She will also be available to answer if there are any questions or clarifications. I now request Manish to please play the video.
Good evening to one and all. I'm Sister Jiva, belongs to Sisters of the Holy Spirit congregation. Our center is situated in Barjipeta, Vijayanagaram, Andhra Pradesh. I'm working as a community health coordinator. First of all, I would like to give a short description about the beginning of our center. Our center began in 2002. In those days, in this area, we found that there were many TB cases. People were in poverty and not taking medicines regularly. So a TB center was begun, nutrition, medications and follow-up was done, thus saved the lives of many. In 2006, the center was converted to HIV Care and Support Center, working in 33 mandals in Vijayanagaram district. Under the guidance of our doctor, Sister Annamma, all the needs of the patients were met. Thus, this center was a blessing to many. We continue to work for HIV affected and infected children with the support of CHAI. Now, I would like to share about the community health services. From the beginning, our center was focusing on community health, and since 9 years, we are working with CHAI. We have health volunteers selected from same villages. They are given training from CHAI. We conduct discussions on health issues, awareness programs are done on health, sanitation, referral services, immunization, wall paintings, and antenatal and postnatal care are provided. I do like to share with you some of the output of community health services. Before, the women in the villages were ignorant on health issues, and now and on many other aspects, but now they are knowledgeable and empowered. Since our health volunteers from the same village, people approach them for direction and guidance. Being knowledgeable, people in the village overcome superstitions and seek medical help early. The necessities of telehealth consultation. As a whole, in this area, people have to travel long distance to visit a qualified doctor. Here, people are also facing financial problems, unable to pay the doctor's fees. Telehealth is very useful and great need of time, especially during this pandemic. We had many webinars and trainings on how to handle mobile app and advantages of telehealth consultation. During this pandemic, we realized how important it is to consult doctors through phone, not only for general cases but also to get advices during COVID, pre-COVID, and post-COVID symptoms. Now, I'd like to share with you one of the fulfilling experience in these years. There was a young boy from our village of 26 years. He was suffering from stomach cancer. After the surgery, chemotherapy, he was brought home. He was going through lots of pain, bed sore, and other discomforts. His mother was very helpless and was very much discouraged. During this time, most of the days I visited the family, did the dressings regularly, and gave reassurance and moral support. Slowly, I could see a graceful acceptance of the situation, his sickness. Sometimes he would send his mother to call me. Saving him during this condition and the smile on his face was a very fulfilling experience in my life. After his death, his family members and people of the village remembers this event with lots of gratitude. While involving with people in the communities, I also wish to share with you a painful situation I faced in the field. There was a family where both parents are HIV positive and they have one son who is also HIV positive and under ART medicines. After the death of his mother, the grandparents looked after him. His father decided to marry again. Through our counseling, we convinced him that he needs to tell the woman about his health condition before the marriage. But without our knowledge, he married again, thus transmitting the infection to others even after knowing the consequences. This was one of the painful moments that I faced in the field. Also, we faced many challenges and similar experiences. Thanks to everyone who listened to my short sharing. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Manish, and thanks to Sister Jiva for giving her time for recording this video and sharing with us. Moving forward, we have a very brief presentation on the community health program. And I will not take much time, but briefly share with you the various components of this particular program. Now, if you slightly go back into the memory, His Excellency was mentioning about the change from Catholic hospital Hospital Association to Catholic Health Association of India. So it is since 1993 or slightly prior to that, the focus had been health and on the hospital component. So this particular program, the community health program, is being implemented for over a decade now, and then that in itself is a quite an accomplishment, I would say, because for a decade implementing a program is not very easy, particularly when it is in the field, it is in rural areas, and where we have always issues with communication, with travel, etc. Now, this program is implemented uh, in the column number of member institutions. You see the health centers where this program is being implemented in each of those states. So altogether, the program is implemented in around 175 villages across these 12 states, involving 35 health centers, which are again members of CHAI. Uh, Now, community health, of course, many of you will be knowing the what we mean by community health. But through this, for some of you who may not be very much aware about what do we mean by community health and what is the specific work that we are doing as part of community health, these slides will help you know more about that. So some of these services are, first of all, the focus is on providing health education, creating awareness among the people. So during the last 3 years, we have been able to reach more than 3 lakhs people with awareness on various health issues such as maternal and child health, on communicable diseases such as TB, such as malaria, HIV, non-communicable diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, cancers, and also water, sanitation, and hygiene. Now, for some of the photographs, as you see, these are generally done either in the form of small sessions with small groups of people, or also as wall paintings, as posters, or by use of flip charts. Uh, Again, and another important service is the sisters as well as the community health workers who are there in the villages, who are the members of the same villages, who are the residents there. They also do follow-up visits to the homes of the people and provide for counseling services based on the specific need, and also do interpersonal communication that is with more focus on sharing and exchange on the issue of concern. And another important service that the program provides is referral services. That is, during the last 3 years, the program has referred more than 1 lakh people, firstly, based on their symptoms, referred them to various tests, be it HIV, TB, malaria, filariasis, diabetes, hypertension, and then those who were found positive were also referred for appropriate treatment, both at government as well as private hospitals. Uh, as many of you know, there are for villages, for communities which are far away located, there are always issues with regard to institutional deliveries. So as part of this program, the sisters as well as the community health workers work with the pregnant women and make sure they have access to or visit the gynecologist for antenatal care. They undergo institutional delivery and also provide follow-up service for postnatal care. And the program also provides immunization services. Again, herein, through mobilizing people to the mobile units which come on to the villages or to the nearby places by mobilizing people, particularly the children, to get immunized as per the schedule. Now, not just the health component, not only focusing on the health, the other determinants which are essential to ensure that the people live a healthy life are also focused upon. So, as part of this program, the community health workers, with the help of the sister nurses, also take up issues which of importance, such as defecation. So, with the hard work of these people, close to 90 villages have already been declared as ODF, that is open defecation free. Now, we also work towards providing, improving the livelihood or income among the target beneficiaries. So, assistance in the form of access to loans provided by the government or also any other individuals is facilitated so that the families or individual can set up their own small businesses. And also social security measures, like if you might have heard about Janani Suraksha Yojana or pension schemes that are provided by the state as well as central governments. But many of the people, particularly those who are not literate, those who are in far to reach areas, will not necessarily know about these schemes. Even if they know, they will not have the required documentation. So the sisters as well as the community health workers assist the individuals in acquiring these documents and also applying for these schemes that are supported by the government. And also some of the villages have been benefiting because in terms of ensuring there is proper supply of water through construction of overhead water tanks, proper roads are laid down. So herein, the important point to know is that the focus is not just on core health services, but also on the determinants which are essential to ensure appropriate health. Now, these sisters also work with government, so therefore they also participate in the VHSND, that is Village Health, Sanitation and Nutrition Days, which are organized on a monthly basis at the primary health centers of government. So these people, they also participate in these meetings in order to get a first-hand information about the plans of the primary health center and also involve themselves in the work done by the PHCs. Besides this, vocational training is also facilitated uh, either by referring them to the government vocational schools or some of the institutes are also organizing vocational trainings. And then most importantly, very recently, because of the COVID, these 35 health centers have also been relentlessly involved in providing relief services by making people aware about COVID, the preventive measures that need to be followed, and then also by supplying relief kits for the families which had lost their livelihoods or were finding it difficult to survive. Now, this was in brief about the community health program. Now, as you all know, pre-COVID also, the health situation was not so good. In villages, there are the government health facilities, as all of you may know, that are not functional, and we do not have any private facilities there. And then with the COVID pandemic, the situation has further deteriorated. And therefore, we have this immense need as it stands today for the ensuring proper provision of medical services. Now, just one last point that I would like to mention before I close this presentation is that during the last 6 months, we have been working on telehealth, and with the support of Billion Lives, the mobile applications have been made. We have also provided a good amount of training to the people who are going to use this at the field level. And but what we are in high need, immense need, immediate need is your support. Be it as you can support us as doctors, or even otherwise, if you can allocate your time in providing any other services which you have seen in the previous slides that I shared with you. With this, I close my presentation. Yeah, these are few photographs that we wanted to share with you. We can also email this. So here you can see these are directly from the field, some of the glimpses of the awareness programs, how the sisters facilitate and how the community health workers do the awareness in their local languages. And then also the basic investigations, how they are being done, like the BP monitoring. And then here you see the wall paintings. This has been identified as a most economic and useful way of reaching out to the people, that is painting the message on the walls of the village, and then everybody gets to see them time and again. And then you also see a few more awareness sessions there. You can also see the background and the conditions in which the work is being done. Now, these are a few more photographs. As I said, the wall paintings, and then you can also see the awareness, how this about the COVID pandemic, how they are using various material to generate awareness among the people. And lastly, about the linking of the families of the individuals to socio-economic welfare schemes. So here you can also see some of the families who have been linked to the Ujjwala scheme of the central government. So this was in brief about the community health program. If you would want to know more about it, we are always available. A WhatsApp group has also been created. We can get in touch with that over the phone as well as on the email. If there are any questions, we can discuss those during the open discussion. Moving forward, we have another sharing. Yeah, we have with us Sister Philomena. I'm sorry, there is a typing error on the slide. Actually, Sister Philomena is working in Chhattisgarh state in Bhilai. Very sorry for the typo error there. So we have with us Sister Philomena. Here again, considering that there may be issues with the internet, we have pre-recorded her video. But just to help you know the background of Sister Philomena, she is part of our community health program, about which I have briefed you just a while ago. And she is part of this program since 2018. And prior to this, she has worked as coordinator in JMJ Service Center. Her educational background is BA and BEd, and she is also currently pursuing her MSW from IGNO. She comes from the congregation of JMJ. And now request Manish to play the video.
Most Reverend Bishop Alex, Vice Chairman of Jesus Youth, Reverend Father Matthew Abraham, Director General of CHAI, and all the dignitaries, participants in this virtual meet. A very good evening to one and all. Myself, Sister Philomena, belongs to Congregation of Jesus Mary Joseph, Raipur Province, Chhattisgarh. I work as a health coordinator along with other community health volunteers. We promote health awareness to the people, and if it is needed, we refer them for further treatment. Medical service in the communities. 80% of people go to government hospital due to their poverty, free treatment that they receive there. Other benefits like remuneration and other government benefits like Sukanya Yojana, Janani Suraksha Yojana, and Matri Vedana Yojana, etc. 20% of people go to private sector and in some other clinics for further investigation like sonography, CT scan, MRI, etc. Quality of services in the government hospitals. However, there is lacking the extending of services like no time to listen the complaints of patients due to heavy patient load, lack of infrastructure, lack of supply of equipment and PPE kit, etc. for the staff and doctors, medical supply for the patients. In community, commonly people face regarding health issues like healthcare facilities, lack of transportation, ignorance about the healthcare due to uneducation, and other like poverty and low income. Community health services offered during COVID-19 by community health coordinator and community health volunteers, health education, health awareness through mobilizing and wall painting, home visits, house to house survey and refer them for corona test, income generating program through self-help group. The achievements that we had, the less positive cases were found and low death rates were there. Challenges we faced were non-cooperative by people to go for testing. Telehealth services in urban area, however, there will be a great support for the people. However, in rural areas, they need further awareness and education. Use of mass media, which is essential for the telehealth services. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Manish, and thank you, Sister Philomena, for making that video and sharing with us. We have allocated few minutes for open discussion, and also if there are any questions, I now request Father Matthew to moderate this open discussion. Over to you, Father.
Thank you, Mateen. So we are almost in time, a few minutes behind the schedule, but this is a time for open questions or comments. I would request, to make it easier, I would request you to type in your questions or feedback or suggestions in the chat box. I'll give you a few minutes, 2-3 minutes. So if you could typing, otherwise, if you start, people speak, it's going to take a lot of time. We have your contact details as well. So please keep typing your questions, suggestions, whatever it is. Somebody will be compiling it, and we can take it up. Now, even though we may not be able to handle all the questions in this meeting, we have your contact details. We can definitely get back to you, and then we can take this forward from here. Okay, so there is one question. In the pilot project, who were the doctors involved? So in the pilot project, we tried sister doctors. Unfortunately, the sister doctors are also caught up, and they have a lot of workload. So when the sister nurses and these champs were calling, they were not available real time. So we had to schedule meetings. So it caused a lot of difficulty. That is why we thought we need to have a good number of doctors, more doctors. If there are, for example, if there are 50 doctors coming forward or 100 doctors coming forward, offering 1 hour, 2 hours in a week, we can put it into a schedule, and when patients call or when the sisters call, it becomes easier. They are not available. They are available real time. I'm not sure specialists can help in this community health program. Okay, so see, we need to do it. We need to do it in phases. What we need at this places, what we need is the help of a basic doctor, even an MBBS doctor. And most of the sisters are actually experts. They know how to handle the situation there, but they will not be able to prescribe because of the Clinical Establishment Act. And with telehealth, we can give them a legal protection with the help of a registered doctor, qualified doctor. So when these basic doctors come across, or the MBBS doctors come across a problem which they cannot handle, we can have the specialists. That's what Santosh was talking about. Starting with this and then going forward and backward, connecting to secondary, tertiary care, specialist care, and so on. Any other questions? JY can also initiate CHAM ministry along with doctors. My suggestion only. Yeah, good. That's fine. Platform created billion lives, a mobile app or a web app. Santosh, can you please answer that, please? Whether it is mobile app, web app.
Available in both the formats. You can access on a browser as well as on the mobile.
Good. If I don't have an active medical license in India, am I able to participate in the telehealth? This is one of my batchmates, Jolie from US. Right now, the regulations don't allow reach out to another country because it's based on the thing. But there are possibilities of doctor-to-doctor consultation. The problem is doctor to patient or doctor to nurse will not be allowed based on the rules. But Santosh, is doctor-to-doctor consultation allowed outside the country?
This particular guideline is quite silent about it. It only says a registered medical professional in India.
Oh. But I think some Apollo and Narayana Hrudayalaya and all are doing doctor-to-doctor consultation even outside the country, right?
We will go into the details further. We'll check.
Later, yes, yeah.
Guideline available for that.
Yeah. Soji, language barriers between doctors and patients. Good. Soji is also one of my batchmates, a very socially concerned person. He is working in UK. So he's talking about language barriers. Of course, see, one thing, that is why we are bringing the sisters as an interface. These sisters have picked up the local languages. So they will be able to stand in between the patient and the doctor. And they know English as well. So they can very well translate. They can be an interface. So language shouldn't be a problem at this stage. Any other questions? Suggestion, if you want to comment, JY can also initiate CHAMP ministry along with doctors. That's a suggestion from Rosemary. Good. All right, so what we would do is we have started a WhatsApp group for this purpose, connecting you all. And also we have our email ID. If you could check our website, you'll get our email ID. Or if you could just send, we will retain the WhatsApp group for a few more days. So if you have any suggestions, questions, definitely you can utilize that. We will also reach out to some of the doctors who registered. I don't know, about 156 people registered. 104 were doctors. I don't know all of them have joined. If some of them have not joined, we have their email IDs, phone numbers. We will definitely reach out to all of you through the, for the registration into the telehealth platform.
There is one viewpoint that has come on a doctor consulting from outside India. There is a provision given in the law which says that if the doctor is consulting along with an Indian registered doctor, if that doctor is a super specialist and is consulting with an Indian doctor, it is covered under the law. So,
correct. So that is a doctor-to-doctor consultation.
But patient can also be in the conversation. That's what it says.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that suggestion. All right. There's one more message that has come in. Dr. Sudeep, it is only real time or any option of having recorded details? Santosh, could you please answer that?
We are now doing real time because of the law which says that it should be in presence and in the geo coordinates are taken. But we will see whether recorded option can be a possibility. The platform supports that, but I have not looked at the legal aspects of that. I need to come back on that.
Thank you. Since this is going to be kind of an official collaboration between CHAI and the Jesus Youth, we'll also be setting up a program management unit from both the entities. And we could also have regular reviews to make sure that things are straightened out. See, any project that we start will always have initial glitches, so we will have to have regular reviews and make sure that things go on. Bishop Alexis has something. Can this be also a group consultation? Santosh?
Yeah, the answer is yes. At this point in time, we are supporting 4 participants at any point in time. It could be 2 doctors, the patient or the sister nurse, or a translator. So we have gone up to 4, but if there are need for more than 4, we can always add. But 4 is the current limit.
Thank you. George Matthew has, please share the talk by Mr. Santosh in WhatsApp group so that okay. Now, that's a very good suggestion. We usually record our webinars. We record it for the sake of those who could not attend, and also those who have attended. If you want to revisit, it's always possible. So this will be uploaded on our website, and we will share the link to you. So this 2-hour recording sending through the WhatsApp may be a challenge. So we will definitely send the link to you so that you can even circulate to others as well, those who did not participate. Well, I think we need to move on because it is we are nearing time, and then we have also a few more speakers from a brief notes from some of our colleagues from Jesus Youth. When are we planning to start the project? We are this project is community health project is going on. So as soon as we get the doctors registered, we can definitely start. So maybe Santosh, how can we do that process in 2 weeks?
Yeah. And if everything goes well and we have enough registration with doctors, August 15th is the date to go live. Because done on the platform. We have to just
one more question on who is the final custodian of the data in the platform.
So this technology is provided on a cloud in India, and at this point in time, the data is in the hands of CHAI. So CHAI can decide if that is to be shared to any doctors or any other purposes. The full control is with the CHAI team now.
Yeah, we have taken the data regulations related to data also into this platform, right?
Yeah, because as per the guideline, it says it should be recorded for a period of time that we are keeping.
Yeah.
How much that is needed as per that. But after that, CHAI can decide to purge the data or remove the data.
All right. There are further questions coming in. I would encourage you all to now use that WhatsApp group which we started to further continue, because we will not be able to take much time for this. So over to you, Mateen. Please move on.
Thank you, Father. Thank you for moderating these questions and also providing the answers. We are almost in the last leg of the meeting, and we would request the members from the JY group to give their feedback or remarks, if any. Now, we have Dr. Julio Kandathil in the meeting, and we would request him to share his feedback or remarks, if any. But before that, give me 1 minute to introduce Dr. Julio. Dr. Julio is the senior consultant and in charge of MRI division in VPS Lakeshore Hospital, Kochi in Kerala. He is MBBS. He holds an MBBS degree from Kottayam Medical College. He has an MD in radiology from FRCR CCT in UK. He has worked in UK and Singapore before settling back in Kerala. Currently, he is a senior consultant and in charge MRI division. He has been active in the JY movement from Kottayam Medical College days and had been the animator for JY International team. Currently, he is the animator for JY Doctors Central team. His wife Anju, also a medical doctor, they are proud to be parents of 5 children. Over to you, Dr. Julio, for your feedback.
Thank you, Mohammed. I will take a couple of minutes. So it was a very comprehensive presentation by Father Matthew, and also Joseph Santosh has given us the basic framework on how to go about things. From the Jesus Youth Doctors perspective, we have contacted several doctors who are willing and who are interested to give their time in this manner for a teleconsultation. So I think this, once we roll out, we will know the how the thing is going to pan out. But certainly, I think this is an opportunity where people have a inclination or a dream of doing something, some kind of mission, or helping out, and they have a logistical or practical problem and they are not able to go out. So this is a beautiful opportunity where they can help people out there in the periphery or in the remote places. So this is a beautiful initiative from the Chai, and from the Jesus Youth Doctor side, we are very happy to contribute whatever we can. So I think the WhatsApp platform would be a good next step where we can develop the discussions and clarify things as we move forward. I think that's all that I want to say right now.
Thank you, Dr. Julio, for that encouraging remark and feedback. And moving forward, also Mr. Charles Anthony is also there with us in the meeting. I would request Mr. Charles to share his feedback and also his remarks. Just give me a few seconds to introduce you to the group. Mr. Charles is the National Coordinator of the Jesus Youth Movement in India. He comes with a master's degree in business administration. He's I'm sorry, he's actively involved with Jesus Youth Movement for the last 19 years. Currently, the national coordinator position is a full-time commitment taken for the moment, usually for a 3 years period. And Mr. Charles is married and has a 2-year-old son. And currently, he is in the state of Kerala in Kottayam and operates from there. Over to you, Mr. Charles.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm also very happy to go through the whole update and the plan which we are thinking about. So I strongly feel when I heard from the first time onwards, I strongly feel that this is a good opportunity for all of us for all the doctors to contribute their expertise to the people who are in need also. And at the same time, those who don't have the privilege to access such good facilities, and all the sharings which is done by the sisters and all the situation which is explained by the office bearers here are actually a totally different world. Probably many of the doctors from Kerala would have never experienced or never seen also. So those who have traveled there, those who have been there, they know very well how the situation, how the challenging situation over there, and those who, especially the sisters who live there, and they know very well. So I think what we are trying to do is a wonderful effort. So my humble request to all the doctors who present here is that try to find out a time from your life and your busy schedule and make yourself available. Probably even 1 hour would be beneficial to provide the expertise which we have to the people who are in need. And as Dr. Father Matthew mentioned, it will be a humble beginning, and I pray and wish that it may bring a lot of good fruits in the future also, where many doctors are inspired and share their expertise and all. And I think we have a good platform also to handle the logistics of this plan. So I wish my best regards to all the efforts, and especially the doctors. Again, I humbly request that try to find out time and share your expertise to the people who are in need. And in the longer run, I think we will have more interventions and make it more effective. The whole system, we will make it more effective. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Thanks for your encouraging words, and we certainly look forward to work with you. Moving forward, we have Dr. Reju with us. Just I'll take a few seconds to introduce Dr. Reju to the larger audience here. Dr. Reju Varghese is a pediatrician at Dhanya Mission Hospital in Kerala, and his wife, Dr. Sonia, is also a pediatrician in Kerala Health Service. They are blessed with 6 children. The couple serves as the president couple of Catholic Couples Movement in Diocese of Irinjal-Kadu. Dr. Reju is active in the Jesus Youth Movement for the last 25 years and is currently the coordinator of Kerala Jesus Youth Doctors Central Tree. Dr. Riju, over to you for your feedback and for remarks.
Thank you, Your Excellency Bishop Alex, for the wonderful message. And thank you, Father Matthew and Team Chai, for inviting us to associate. And thank you, Charles, from the Jesus Movement National Council. Pope Francis has tweeted today that let us learn to love each other freely and without calculation. So let us move forward. We will extend our full support from the doctor's side, and all the sharings were wonderful, amazing. Thank you, sisters, and all the officials and office bearers of Chai for helping us to enjoy the program. So thank you once again. We will continue all the discussions in the WhatsApp group. So on the behalf of Jesus Doctors team, we would like to extend our wholehearted support for this wonderful telehealth project. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Riju. And we are in the last session of this meeting, and I request Your Excellency to say the concluding prayer, closing prayer, and blessing for the meeting. Over to you, Your Excellency.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, loving Father, we thank you for this beautiful session this evening. We thank you for the inspiration that we all received. Bless each one of us. Help us to work together, because we know that together we can make a difference in the lives of many. Lord Jesus, I ask you to bless each one of us who are present in this webinar from different parts of the country and across the globe. Fill our hearts with your peace, joy, and serenity. May your Mother intercede for us. The Lord be with you. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone. Thank you, Father Matthew Abraham. Thank you, the team that are working with Father Matthew, and everyone attached to Chai, all the member institutions, all the sisters out there working in remote villages. And thank you, everyone from Jesus Youth, for this great initiative and this dream that you have instilled in all of us. May God bless, and may God strengthen us to realize this dream and make it into a reality. Thank you, and God bless you.